The day started out bleak, and had gone from bad to worse. I had wondered why I had come down here in the first place. It was not a conscious decision. Every time I meditated, every time I closed my eyes, or took a break to find peace during the day, I was here, as if I was living on Earth as a dream and this life in the lower realms was real. They were in fact two sides of the same coin. They were not inseparable, and if I died, I would most likely die on Earth as well, as my soul was so caught up here that escape would be impossible. There was no difference. I was more alive in this place than I had ever been on Earth, even when I served in the military and volunteered for Operation Desert Storm. I was no stranger to combat, serving as an airborne infantry sergeant and eventually promoted to the rank of first lieutenant. I had dealt with fear before, but now, in this place of darkness, harboring dangerous creatures without end, agreeing to the commander's request was not without good reason. Fear can be quelled if you know your enemy, but to face an enemy unknown, especially one that is not human, is a whole different level of fear that the bravest man may run from. With the Guardians of the Styx as protection, I could find out as much as possible about this place and be in a better position to proceed on my own, for traveling in hostile lands on your own is by far the most dangerous thing one can do without proper reconnaissance. And so, as we marched, leaving the castle far behind us, we made our way down a byroad of the Styx, toward an enemy the commander had before mentioned, knowing not what we were going to face, but only that it must be destroyed. We were a legion strong, almost 5,000 soldiers in number, made up of 10 cohorts with 5 centuries, each made up of 100 legionaries at the ready. We followed our commander, the Legion's legit, General Patton, whose vast war experience throughout his lifetime, from the Battle of San Miguelito in the Mexican Border War of 1916 to the end of World War II in 1945, served him well. So we marched on, through the incredible heat, pausing now and then to relieve our feet from the intense heat rising from the ground. The hours did pass and the landscape began to change, from the desert we normally traversed to something worse. A landscape of doom appeared when we came over a rise. A vast lava field stretched for miles with molten lava issuing up through cracks in the ground. It spewed forth, the scorching rock covering everything except for the Styx. The lava bristled and popped with its searing heat and appeared as AA lava. Its intensity, however, restricted the Legion's movement and we had no choice but to proceed forward at a breadth of just 10 legionaries wide at the front. The commander called for a change in formation. The commander's liaison, the prefect of the Cornu, sounded off with his brass horn. The horn he blew was a cornu, a form of circular tuba. Starting at the player's lips, flowing through the cornu's mouthpiece, the air flowed down and through the circular cornu, coming around back, up and over the head and shoulders before blaring out at the flared end of the horn, just in front of the player's head. The cornu sounded, blaring a quick battle song, like a bugle call, preparing the Legion for battle. Commands with the cornu did follow, dictated by the commander, with a series of long blasts, one of low pitch, then one of mid pitch, and the last one, long and high, indicating the first cohort was to be commanded. Another series of blasts, one high and long, followed by 4 mid and low blasts, indicating the first cohort as the main assault element to be supported by the rest. After some time proceeding forward through the desolate landscape of lava surrounding them, several legionaries called out creatures approaching. Hellhounds resounded among the troops as they prepared their weapons. The creatures were large, standing almost 5 feet at the shoulder, resembling monstrous dogs, growling with wicked teeth and eyes that thirsted for blood as they ran toward the Vanguard, the lead cohort out in front. "Loose the pylons," shouted the commander. The commander's liaison, prefect of the Cornu, sounded off with his horn. The horn blasted its order. Resounding it went out, repeated by the tribune of the first cohort, who did the same, his prefect of the Cornu, echoing the signal to loose the pylons at once. Close to 500 pylons did fly, as the commander of the 3rd Legion of the Guardians of the Styx barked orders for his troops while the corners did blare. Many a hellhound did fall, skewered by multiple pylons whose thick blades and shafts did pierce through the beasts. The first volley had fell over 100 of them, but some did get through, many injured but still eager to consume blood. The legionaries on the front line raised their shields as they knew what was coming as the remaining beasts approached, and more pylons flew at close range as the hellhounds closed. Another volley of pylons flew as the hellhounds came within melee range, and many of the beasts did fall, as pylons impaling them ended their days. Of the few remaining, they did attack, spewing a breath of the fiercest flames, melting shields as they growled, causing the troops to drop burnt shields before they too were burnt away. The first cohort attacked, lunging forward with short swords drawn, plunging their blades up to the hilt into the beasts that remained. The last of the hellhounds did fall, as the legion regrouped. At the ready they were, and a call from the front did sound out as smoke did rise from the path ahead. The legion proceeded, with the first cohort out front. The legion's vanguard it still remained, and as the source of the smoke started to become clear, a gathering of creatures lay on the Styx this day. The gathering appeared far from pleasant, as the smell of death came from the wind, and a horde of creatures could be seen as they huddled around the source of smoke and flame. The smell of burnt flesh filled the air as we knew immediately what lay ahead. The commander issued a hand signal at once, and the silent order passed quickly from there to the cohort's tribunes distributed throughout, and from there to the centurions and legionaries. The pylon-throwing spears were passed to the front of the legion's formation, so it was declared, and the legion moved forward at a cautious pace as they readied for battle without despair. As 3rd Legion closed, the enemy became apparent. Horned demons, huddled like vultures around a fresh kill, they fought for their feast, as they paid no heed to the legion's approach. Their sole focus was on nothing but to feed. The legion continued its pace, and closed even more. The vanguard was still confined to just 10 legionaries at the front, but were no matter prepared for battle. The pylons were in surplus at the front and were waiting to come into range. The beasts still feasting, except for just some, few that had fed and had had their fill, now took notice of the 3rd Legion's approach and took to the air to observe at will. They hovered up there, still feasting on bones as they flew above with their ghastly wings, and I got a good glimpse of what they were. Horned demons for sure, they were indeed. These horned demons had a wingspan of almost 20 feet, and they were covered in blackened, bristled skin that appeared leathery. Their eyes did glow a bloody red, and they grimaced with fangs and teeth that whispered some unknown tongue. They were out of range, staying just beyond our pylon's reach, and as we closed one flew off, no doubt to report our presence. The Dragon Oracle has spoken.